Have you ever had one of those moments? A moment where everything looks normal, but something just feels off. Well, today, we're diving into a concept called quantum tunneling. And we're not just talking about physics, we're talking about a potential glitch in the very fabric of our reality. So let's get into it. You know the feeling. You get home after a long day, you put the key in the lock, open the door, and step inside. But wait, something's not right. The air feels different, maybe heavier. That picture on the wall, it's crooked. You could swear it was straight this morning. For a split second, your brain scrambles, and you have this bizarre thought. Am I in the wrong house? Or is this somewhere else entirely?
So, that tiny, unsettling moment, it opens up a massive question. Is reality this solid, fixed thing we all agree on? Or is it possible that every time we make a choice, every time we open a door, we're actually slipping into a slightly different version of the world we were just in? We're about to explore that incredibly fine line between what we think is real and what is real.
Now, what if that feeling of displacement, that sense that things are just a little bit wrong, isn't just your imagination? What if it's not a trick of the mind at all? Could it be a genuine phenomenon, a tiny glitch, let's call it, in the fundamental rules of the universe?
To even begin to answer that question, we have to find what you might call reality's secret passageway. And that means we need to take a trip into the bizarre, the counterintuitive, and the absolutely mind-blowing world of quantum mechanics.
Okay, so this slide gets right to the heart of it. In our everyday world, what we call classical physics, things make sense. You throw a ball at a wall, right? If you don't throw it hard enough to go over, it just bounces off. Simple. The wall is an absolute, non-negotiable barrier. But down in the quantum world, the rules are completely different. A particle can be on one side of a wall and then, poof, it's on the other side, even if it has nowhere near enough energy to have climbed it. For a quantum particle, a wall isn't an absolute barrier. It's more like a statistical suggestion.
And this amazing rule-breaking phenomenon has a name: quantum tunneling. It's where a particle literally does the impossible, passing right through a barrier it shouldn't be able to cross. Honestly, the best way to picture it is like a bug in a video game, where your character just walks straight through a solid wall. It's as if the code of reality just glitched for a second. Now, you might be thinking this is just some weird, niche thing that only happens in a lab. But here's the kicker: it's not. This glitch, this impossible jump, is happening constantly, all around us. In fact, it's the very engine that powers our entire cosmos.
Just look up at the sun. I mean, not directly, but the reason it shines is because of nuclear fusion. Here's the secret, though. The sun's core is ridiculously hot, but it's actually not hot enough for fusion to happen by the normal rules. The hydrogen particles there should repel each other, like magnets. So how do they get close enough to fuse? They tunnel. They glitch right through that repulsive energy barrier, allowing for an impossible fusion to take place. Without quantum tunneling, our sun wouldn't shine. Life on Earth wouldn't exist. It's that fundamental.
So we know tunneling is real and it's essential, but for 100 years, we had no idea what was actually happening during the tunnel. It was a total mystery. Until now. A very recent discovery is changing everything we thought we knew, because scientists have finally found traces inside the tunnel.
You see, the old way of thinking was pretty simple. The particle was on one side of the barrier, and then, instantly, it appeared on the other. The trip itself was like a black box, a weird, instantaneous shortcut that nobody could explain. This is where the story gets really good. What if it's not an instantaneous jump? What if it's not a black box at all? What if the journey through the wall actually matters? What if something is happening to the particle inside the barrier? This, right here, is a total game changer. In a recent experiment, researchers at Postech did something that was thought to be impossible. While watching a particle tunnel, they found evidence that it was actually interacting with other things while inside the barrier. Think about that. This means the particle didn't just teleport. It traveled through a real physical space, a space where time exists and interactions can happen. It actually experienced the journey through the wall. So this completely reframes how we think about it. It wasn't a disappearance and reappearance. It was more like a fading, a brief temporary passage through another state of being. And let's bring that idea all the way back to our strange room. What if that feeling you had wasn't about you entering a new place, but about your own reality briefly fading into a different coexisting state, just for a moment? And this, my friends, brings us to the most mind-bending, philosophical part of this whole story. The link between all these weird quantum rules and, well, us. We're talking about the universe in your eyes, and the absolutely wild idea that the observer plays a role in shaping reality itself. It all centers on something called the observer effect, and it goes like this. In the quantum world, before you look at a particle, it doesn't really have a definite position. It exists as a cloud of probabilities. It could be here, it could be there, it could be everywhere at once. But the moment you observe it, the moment you measure it, that cloud of possibilities collapses, and the particle is forced to pick one single spot. Your act of looking literally locks its reality into place.
Which, of course, leads us to the biggest, most debated question in all of physics. What, or who, counts as an observer? Is it a fancy piece of lab equipment, a camera, a cat, or does it have to be something more? Does it require consciousness?
Let that sink in for a second. If observation is what forces reality to choose a state out of a fog of possibilities, then we might not just be passive witnesses watching the universe unfold. We might actually be the ones who decide what reality is with every single glance we take. So let's tie this all together. Let's go back to that strange room one last time. Every time you open a door, every time you even open your eyes and look at something, you are collapsing a wave of probabilities. You are, in a sense, selecting one version of reality from an almost infinite menu of possibilities. And that strange feeling? The crooked picture? The different air? Maybe, just maybe, it was a moment where your observation collapsed a slightly different probability into existence than the one you left behind just a moment before. And that leaves us with one final spooky thought to chew on. We always talk about how we observe the universe, but if our very act of observation is what creates it from moment to moment, then maybe the real question is this: do we observe reality, or in some strange way, does reality observe us?